Hello guys, I'm back with some Torchlight Frontiers. I'll keep leveling my forged. Today I'm gonna try and get one level up in the Hybrid Frontier. So let me just go into my fort, start crafting some. Okay, just a second, I'm just checking if everything's working correctly. In the meantime, I'll start crafting some maps while I'm waiting.
Item has finished crafting.
Okay, let's craft one more or two more maps before I start diving into the Hybrid Frontier. In the meantime, I can quickly just swap out my gear for Hybrid gear. I could probably keep this one with the goblin defense as the helmet, because the other one's physical. And in the meantime, this needs to go. This needs to go. And some more. Oh, the sword as well. Although I do have a heavy sword on at the moment, so I can probably do something like this for now. What else should we swap out? I can swap out this focus, but in the meantime I also wanna keep this one here as well. So what else do we have? This one probably needs to be swapped as well. And this one. For the tags, I'm not sure if I should swap them both. Well, this one is nice and I'll probably swap it out. But I'll keep the other one on the Goblin Frontier. So the one with less crit chance would go down. One with more would go back. I'll probably just put some stuff here. Kinda so low on room, I don't know where to put stuff anymore. I'm mostly getting pet items, main hands and off hands. And all my main hand, off hand are kind of filled up in my statues. Again, main hand, off hand filled up. Oh, I have a slot for off hand here. So let's put this there. let's see if I've got some room in my warehouse to store some stuff. Now let's figure out what will do more damage, this or what I'm wearing. I'll have to check once I port into the Torchlight Frontier what the changes to the stats would be. How's my Torchlight defense now? Torchlight defense, so 1.2k is not so bad, having 600 Torchlight and 1.2k poison. I think I'm ready to go. Even with a bit of mixed gear, it shouldn't be too bad. So let's see how many maps this would take. Judging by the previous frontier, it's probably 7-8 maps for this level up. So over an hour. Like hour and a half maybe. Okay, it's still lagging. I think it's fixed now. Well, that's a nice first drop for the day. Very nice first drop of.
Vent excess heat.
Now I wanna see. Chance to immobilize team per second dissipation, not bad. It looks good, but I'll keep using my goblin one for now. Just for that gearwork bonus. In the meantime, let's see. I wanted to check if this would do more damage, but it doesn't. This stuff would need to go, I don't have room to keep it. This great sword, I don't have room to keep it either. So now I gotta check whether, no, this won't be much damage, so I'll keep the poison sword. That means I'll have to find an electric offhand, and this is my only option for now. And it's gonna be some upgrade in a way. As for those things, I'm already past the level where something like this would be useful. So it's gonna get sold probably. What map are we doing? A Nimbo map. Okay. A new patch released today on Warhammer Chaosbane, by the way. I'll be playing probably. That will depend. I will try to make a video about the new things from the patch tomorrow, if I may. think I missed this part here. Let's return and try to kill everything inside. It's worth checking every single piece of the map when you're doing Cursed Chamber, because there are so many elites. As you just saw now, I returned and there was an elite pack. So totally worth returning back.
Vent heat to use more skills.
Okay, let's keep him in the poison if we can. Oh, and there's one more. Nice. Hope we can stab them together like this. Nice. This is what I wanted to achieve. If we keep getting Cursed Chamber maps, it could probably take less than 8 maps for the level up. We'll see. I did start XP. I forgot to see how much I've got when I started, but it still won't be that much.
Time to vent.
Okay, let's spam some boats. How many boats have I got with this setup? Boats. Only 2. Not good, but I'll try and get it up. See if I get some good items that give me boats. Like new gloves would be nice. I think my gloves mimic first one for the day.
Time to vent.
Sorry about that, had to unequip my hoodie. Getting a bit warmer here. Okay, let's group them up together. The elite and the legendary. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted to happen with that pool. With vortex bomb. Of course the elite took longer. Tanky than the legendary one. I put him up here towards the other monsters. Let's see if it will follow me all the way here. Oh, there's another elite here.
Vent heat to use more
If he
skills.
didn't fall, I'll just put a big. So is that whitening or ice? It's the ice one. When I see that error message, I know it's either whitening or an ice item that dropped. Let's see. Oh, actually I need to change my potions. I forgot I'm in a different frontier now. This ought to do the trick. But yeah, potions that heal your pet would be a nice addition. Or making every single potion hitting the pet as well as you. So once the pets have some more skills added and things like that, we would have an incentive, something to keep us like changing our playstyle more of the enemies paying attention to the pet, trying to keep it alive. If there's some buffs that the pet gives us, that would be a big incentive for something like that. And the boss is here. Which is my relic weapon.
You're close to dying.
Somehow hard to tell which of the poison fields is mine and which is the boss's.
Prevent heat.
Some distance. Oh, it's the ranger, okay. Didn't notice it. For a green item, that's quite nice. Okay, let's look for some more elites and legendaries and stuff. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying out the new. Hopefully I would be able to do so tomorrow. And it all depends. For today, I'm just gonna stream for a few hours. Get Frontiers, get a level, make enough time before it's too late to keep. Been kinda busy. I was today, but then I went to the dentist and then I fell asleep after that. So
You are overloaded.
one more second for my pet to return. I'll start selling all that junk. Pick up some more junk. Any vast spawns? I guess that was it. Let's start a new map now. Okay, pets back. Let's pick up and start the next map. I'm really looking forward to update 7 just to see what the surprises with the way relic weapons are reworked would be. I do have an idea from the screenshots posted on Trevo what it would be like, but I have no idea exactly what the skills would be on. From what we see there, the life, what was it called? Life drinker or something? The physical damage weapon, the one with the bleed, would have options to give you extra damage to high hits, but also options to give you some life steal. So it will be an interesting hoping whatever weapons we already have leveled up would stay 50, so we wouldn't have to level them up again. And I'm really hoping the weapons, the relic weapons level. That way leveling a new relic weapon to 50 wouldn't take as much 50. Since we would wanna try them all, we would wanna try all the new ones that they would eventually release. Just to experiment with the build. I'm hoping the skill reset system is gonna get added in update 8 or 9 at least, so that we have some more incentives to farming and to leveling up. Because if they item respec item, currency or whatever it's called, to the drop tables, even leveling up wouldn't be that bad because you would eventually be getting those items while leveling up, even when it takes kind of long to level. Because you know eventually those drops you towards experimenting with the skill points and things like that. Look at that. Painting the screen and doing green again. When there's too many elites, it's my favorite thing with this build. Just jumping, diving right in and spamming AoEs all over the place. Okay, more elites. Perfect, just what I needed. Let's get rid of this buffing pylon first though. Oh, this was a lovely vortex bomb. Right on. Now, I do need a new cannon. And this is good, this gives me chance to shock. I'm gonna lose a lot of crit chance, so my DPS would drop, but I wanna see how this will be. As often as I would expect it to. How many percent is it? Kind of almost 1/3 of the hits would be proccing those both. Of course, I would much rather have poisoning cannon than shock. Not unless I have like 6 or 8 bolts. If I have 6 or 8 bolts, I'd rather have the shocking cannon. But now with 2 bolts and knowing that my poison projectile much better would be for hoping I can get some gloves with 4 additional boats. Torchlight Frontier really fears the be too hardcore when playing an ARP. But it's having problems deciding whether it wants to be pacing pace-wise, whether it wants to be an MMO or an ARPG. That's what I think they need to decide, whether they want to MMO like Lean, Guild Wars 1, etc., or whether they want it to pace like a modern action RPG, where the focus is on the action, not much on the RPG part. Yabu is like the old school RPG, action RPG. It took long to reach the end, but everything on the way was worth it because everything mattered. You were doing acts, then repeating that act, and the next act, and the one after that, and so on the next difficulty. So in Yabu, even though it took the end, it was the whole journey that mattered. Whereas modern not MMOs but action RPGs,
Time to vent heat.
the end game, gear, currencies, experimenting with your builds. So I think Torchlight Frontiers really needs to decide whether it wants to be more like an old school action RPG, where the focus is on the RPG, not on the action that much, or an MMO where exactly the focus again isn't much on the end game but on the whole journey, or whether it wants to be like the modern ARPGs. This is nice. Faster cooldown for cold launch, a lot of defense, but I'd rather have the faster cooldown for poison dart. In the meantime, I can't go back to my fort, so I'll have to do this. No, it's glitched. Yeah, it's glitched. Okay, if I were to go to the Imperial outpost, will it let me? No, it doesn't. Oh, this is kind of a bullshit. Not being able to get there. Well, let's go back, clear out the map then. In the meantime, I'm gonna give my pet some stuff to Torchlight 2 also seems to be more focused on the journey, on the quests, doing the whole storyline. By the time you finish the storyline over there, you were kind of ready to just farming and food. And the whole journey there was always fun. It had a nice story to go through, fun to do on multiple characters. So for those of you who can afford which platform, I would strongly recommend, if you never tried Torchlight 2, to try it, since it just got released a few days ago. Now let's see if we can return to my fort. Oh, it's still glitched. I probably have to go back to character selection because it's glitched. It's not letting me return. Although I could just do something like this. I can start the next map and maybe from within the next... Oh no! No, I just wasted the map. Fuck this shit. No, character select. But yeah, there's bugs. Of course, there's always bugs. It's an alpha. And this is something that's not just a one time. It happens every now and then, but it's hard to replicate it. So I don't even know if it's worth reporting this, because whoever is investigating it would have extreme difficulties replicating this bug, where you can't go back to the portal or to the town or wherever, and you just get ported back to your dungeon. It's one of those bugs that I don't think it's even worth reporting, since it's like so rare to happen, but when it does happen and you try to replicate it, no luck whatsoever. Probably, yeah, the developers might be able to put the game in a state where this happens, but I think it's just probably some server related issues that prevent you from returning to your fort. In the meantime, let's sell all my junk. Okay, now I have to wait for the map because it ate my map. And strangely enough, did you see, now I had two maps. So the map that it ate that disappeared from my inventory, when I walked back in it was in my inventory. So that's a nice side of the bug. I thought I lost a map there, but it was returned. Because I had a map, then I used it, I had 0 maps here. Now when I collected in the town I had... And this one was given to my pet before I logged out to switch character. Now this is my favorite map in the game, due to the fact that there's a lot of elites in there, which means a lot of XP. It used to be the most hated map on my end, because before update 6 it wasn't worth doing it much, but then with the addition of so many elites to the map, and the addition of extra XP for elite kills, it's the best map in the... not just the frontier, the game whatsoever. Probably more favorite to me than Pillage Village now. Gotta keep checking those purple sacks, because quite often you might be able to find some good loot in it. Not a legendary, but the blue is always good while leveling up. You know, it would probably be better than whatever you might be wearing if it's few levels higher. Okay, now let's try to group them up here. And just AoE, stack those boats and poison projectile. Now this is something for sale. Get that 60 gold from the ground. I'm gonna try and group them up. Let's pull some more. Okay, here should be... With this build, the more we fight in the same place, the better it is for our day. I'm hoping once update 7 gets released we would hear more of the new frontier or the character class. Cause yeah, it's almost July, so Realm Master got released on the 20 something, 23rd of April, I think. If my memory serves me right. So it's about time we either learn more, not get the release, but learn more about the upcoming new class or the upcoming new frontier. Quick hint, a screenshot or two maybe, or some concept art. It would be nice to kind of... Time goes by, things get added, thing gets broken, then they get fixed. That's how it is in development. But yeah, when July comes, it would be kinda more than 2 months since the Realm Master released. Well, it already is more than 2 months, almost. Like in 4 days, it will be 2 months since the Realm Master released. And I know it's Alpha and the team isn't some huge company that have hundreds of people, so the development is not expected to be lightning and the pun wasn't intended there. What's this? No chance to shock. Oh, I've already taken this shrine, okay. Let's keep opening those tentacles. Since the time I got a blue drop from a tentacle and a blue drop from purple sack, I kinda try not to miss on opening any of those. Okay, there weren't many here. Was expecting more to show up, even on elite or what about here? There might be an elite here. Nope, no luck. So the past few hotfixes have been some backend stuff for the developers. I'm wondering what all this is about. They're monitoring something, so this is good. Making some statistics. I would really love for them to do something like Dauntless is doing about statistics, like how many monsters were killed, how many bosses were killed, how many items were looted. If they manage to keep track of those statistics and post it each quarter maybe, it would be pretty nice. I mean, even though I don't play Dauntless anymore because it's too repetitive, I still do enjoy when they send me those emails with statistics of how many things have been accomplished by the community over the past few months. And I know who likes statistics, shareholders do. Rich guys in suits that run companies, they do love their statistics. So I'm wondering if something like this is being implemented with those patches to monitor how much we are accomplishing. Good as I expect. It's 10 elite fights, champion fights. That much so far. Is going steadily. before I stop. Can't stream for too long in the early morning hours as I did before. Moment. 1:30, 2 a.m. max. So let's say 2-3 more hours maximum. In that time I should be able to gain this level plus probably some percentages of the next. Okay, the boss is nearby here. Maybe we should just get rid of him first. I want to get far. Oh, this is the boss. This poison can kill me in seconds. Even less than a second, I think. If I stay inside. Now, is this good? Seems like a slight upgrade if I were to use shotgun blast, but I don't, not yet. This isn't bad, but I'm not planning on using swag shot much. I tried it. It's using a lot of hit. And I can't spread out the fire to different targets. With swag shot you kind of as if you're using ghost train, but the style of the projectile isn't as good as ghost train. There's also huge downtime in between the shots. This build relies on more hits done per second. Second means more procs of the Bane per second. So best fit for this build. Because if I poison the enemies with poison dart and my rapid in projectile, and that's good for bosses, of course. Normal monsters I just try to mow down with my cyclone mode. Oh, this is nice. For me, the one-hand weapon is just a stat stick. It doesn't matter whether it's a mace or a sword, because I'm not using the basic attacks. So all I'm looking for is the good damage and the good chance to poison or chance to shock. Knockback might not be the best for a melee class, but let's go for it. Let's keep this sword for now. Because maybe it might be useful on the other frontier. As for this cannon, I can probably just get rid of it. I know I'm losing some DPS, but it's better that way. So yeah, I know Swagshot could be a good skill if you max it out and if you stack shit tons of crit damage on your shoulders and cannon and stuff. But I guess it just doesn't fit my build, doesn't fit my playstyle where I try to proc the Bane as much as I can and proc some shocks as well. So is there a free weapon slot somewhere? Let's equip this sword here for the time being. Oh, and we can also equip this thing here and sell this. Okay, next map. The one thing I really hope they start working on anytime soon would be matchmaking, some some way to bring people together via random queue. Because leveling up solo is boring, and finding people to play the game with is also very difficult, especially now that there is no looking for group channel in the Discord. But even before, it was almost impossible to find someone to play with in the Discord channel. So you're kind of stuck to spamming the city chat for someone to join you, and there is no actual global chat. People are just small servers, and only people on those servers seem to kind of messages of people nearby or in this area. So it's very hard to find people to play with, and it is such a good game to play with other people. So having some matchmaking, even if it's the most basic, decent. It would make the whole pleasant, having someone to queue alongside you. And it's of course also faster when you're playing solo than when you have someone else killing the monsters on the other side of the hallway. If I'm killing those here, my teammate could be killing the monsters down here, and we can clear out stuff much faster, even if there is no XP bonus for being in a team, even if the monsters don't become more powerful when we're in it. It's still much better to be in a team than to solo. I never played with more than 2 people in the party, so I have still to try playing with 2 or 3 teammates. But even with just 2 people, it was much better. I'm gonna give them some time to spot and just one shot. But there are so many things that I would like to see improved and fixed. Also, there's so much new content coming, so I'm prioritizing the new content over fixing things like making more difficult and challenging, or the quality of life changes, which probably should start being added once the beta starts. To add every single system that will be the core mechanic of the game, tweak it to state they're happy with, and then start working on quality of life change, new additional features and things. They reworked the skill system now, and a rework relic weapons is coming, so to the game mechanics that are typical for an alpha phase to have such changes. There should be a bit more showing up here, but anyways, it's just some glitch, some textures not loading. In the meantime, I'm gonna clear this dead end before going to the boss. Oh, good call. Look at how many zombies there are here. Invigorated regenerates health. Well, even then, when we group them up, they're taking so much damage. Our electric and poison projectile. Good XP so far in this frontier for a level 42. But yeah, what I've been saying yesterday about this build, I like how fluid some feel. Like how you can slash through enemies with what was it called, spinning cyclone mode, and then immediately switch to something like a ramming robot or a vortex bomb, and just chain them together. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. The more the merrier. Okay, oh, some more. Almost missed. Okay, let's keep moving. I'm wondering if they're considering reducing the damage of ramming robots, but reducing the cooldown as well. It would be a nice thing to have, just to make these guys faster. It does do a lot of damage, so whether it's doing less damage, being able to cast it more often, or the way it is now, there won't be much difference in regards to balancing, but in regards to mobility there would be. Time to vacuum. I do want to see sometimes some very difficult monsters and a combo of 4 classes. Combo of the 3 current classes just to see how they can work together, some synergies in between their skills. Like you can vacuum them up with Vortex Bomb, then a Realm Master can stun them with Pound. A mage could do something like Dark Spears in the you're vortexing them, so they don't run away much. And of course, the Realm Master could also dynamite them once you. There. Oh fuck! I didn't see this appearing in front of my cursor. Yeah, this is something that I would really like to be added in the game. Confirmation window, yes or no, when you go to that portal. Because it's happening so many times. You're just killing a boss, then you're moving around to escape his poisons or his fires or whatever, and you end up entering a portal that spawned right next to your character. Just like now. I'll probably try to return there, but there won't be much for me to do. I'll have to run away all the way back, so no point in doing that. But it's not like I can't return to the map, it's just gonna be a waste of time for a few more monsters and maybe maximum a blue item. I'm also excited to see what pet skills they would add and what different kinds of pets there would. On my wish list there's always buffs, party buffs, auras, things that give the pet and everyone around them crit chance or crit damage or HP regen, not the one. And speaking of HP regen from the gear, they rework it very soon, because currently it's kind of like a useless stat that just takes swots on the mods of the items. That the throw row. Something you're hoping you won't get when an item drops. It probably scales okay at level 1, but after that having 1 or 2 or 3 HP per second uh, and as I've said, there's an easy way to fix it. Just make it instead of 1-2-3%, 1-2-3 flat HP to be 1-2-3% HP per second. It won't be as much to make you overpowered, but it would still give you some passive regeneration that might help against being poisoned, and especially if you stack it with some reduced poison duration. And the same goes for the health per kill. It probably is okay up to a certain level, but after that it just ends up something you're hoping. The HP per hit from the blood drinker is quite nice though, as it doesn't count on you killing to get the bonus. Mechanic. Was I too far away? I thought he was within range. This is what I'm talking about. 60 health on killing a hive hit. When you have 11,000, imagine having 30,000 in the end game. You can even get it all the way to 40,000. So 60, 70 won't do much for you. That's less than 0.1% of your HP per kill, not per hit. Also, something that would more skills and abilities to the elites, making the fights with elites longer, more difficult, especially the end of map bosses, but more rewarding. They did reward us XP for those, so that's okay. So later on when the item specs are added, I would really hope they would add them to champions, all sorts of champions, not just the end of map. And just to make those elite encounters a bit more difficult than they are at the moment. Skills like some AoEs, like some pulls, something like you try to run away from a monster but it pulls you. As they said, needs to be reworked and rebalanced, because sometimes it might be overpowered. But the stun is a good example of adding some skills to the end, other than the passives that they have. Invigorate, regenerates health, igniter, blazing, etc. Which way did I come from? This way. Okay, let's go that way then. Playing different games every now and then really gives me a perspective on evaluating Torchlight Frontiers a bit better and thinking of things that might make the game better. Direct or indirect beat in that matter. Be any other ARPG game, be it free to play, buy to play, etc. Indirect might be any other shooter or RPG games that are co-op oriented. So Borderlands would be an indirect competitor, but it's still kind of a competitor. Still the same people that play ARPGs kind of tend to play water shooters. The water shooter is a good genre because it kind of brings together people that play ARPGs and people that play shooters to play a mashup between the two of them. Not normally see playing water shooter. And I'm assuming Destiny 2 would also be considered for this. It's gonna be a free to play. This was a nice finish. I always enjoy when I finish them and kill them with Remy. They're just actually about rushing. Oh, look at that. That's an interesting glitch when you can see those heads through the texture. If anyone is watching and wants to record this, you can clip it. That I was talking earlier. I'm really looking forward to testing out the invasion mode and all that stuff. And I'm looking forward to making some videos about the new modes, some guides about it, and improving all my build videos with newer versions, newer and improved versions that the new difficulties and rebalancing changes. Oh, nice. Did one of them run away? Maybe it just looked like it, but he ended up dying from the projectiles, I guess. As for the goat, how am I doing? I'm kind of losing goat because I'm not picking up much stuff to give to the... Might start selling some legendaries for gold now. But I really want to avoid selling legendaries that do it. Because I do know if not something to do with unnecessary legendaries, and whoever stacked up more of those would feel quite nice knowing they did it. Did we miss something? I might have missed some part of the map on the other end of this segment. Let me quickly check. Yeah. Oh, and there's some legendaries. Good thing I returned here. And was I there? No, I haven't. Nice. Yeah, I keep getting cursed chambers. Can't be happier about it. Really loving this map. Once you get used to it, it doesn't even feel bad in regards to the layout, because you just have to know where to go first and where to return from. Things like going this way and then returning this way would... Although I did ruin it kind of. Was that it? Yeah, let's return. I'm really liking this sound when I sell when my pet for the owl. Okay, interesting grip. Not the best one, not something I would like wearing on my pet, but I'll keep it for sale. I'll have to get rid of some items from my warehouse though.
You're badly hurt.
I was badly hurt, yeah. Not any. Is the pet back? In a moment, I... Oh, how did this miss then?
Your pet has arrived.
Okay, pet. You gotta sell some stuff, boy. This would probably be worth equipping now. As I said before, wow, I don't have much boats per shock. Like if I've got 2 or 4 boats, I'd rather use the poison than the shocking one. Oh, missed someone down there. Let's go get them first. Oh, there's quite a few I've missed. And the elite came down here as well. Perfect.
Time to vent heat.
Okay, pet. Let's give you some more. I think that's it for this map. We've killed everyone. Let's return to my fort. Oh yeah, double HP. I was wondering why they're dying so slow. This explains it. Double HP. It's not a bit longer to kill them. Oh, this should have pulled many. It kinda didn't. I think I'm my cannon. It was kinda stuck somewhere where only my pet could hit it. Okay, which way? This way. Getting close, one more map and we should be good to go on the level up.
Ever played this game in a party?
I've played it in a group of 2 people, but there can be all the way to 4 people in the group. And also, hello Nick Smith, welcome to my YouTube. Hope you're enjoying the gameplay. If you have some questions, feel free to ask them. Whatever I know about the game, share my knowledge. It is much more pleasant to play it in a group. There are no incentives at the moment. Everyone doing some damage. So the monsters don't become stronger when you're playing in a group. Better reward. But since it's 2 people or 3 or 4 people killing the monsters, the maps kind of end up being faster, and the XP per hour per minute seems to be faster when you're in a group. It's just very hard, very difficult to find people to play the game with. This is discussing earlier on my stream, saying that it would be really nice to get some sort of matchmaking system, even if it's the most basic. That would get. Or an LFG chat. LFG chat would be nice, a global LFG chat, but people may start shit or just using it as a hangout chat. But it would be nice.
What about the EXP depending on party level?
As I said, there are no bonuses to XP, and uh, if the party is like more than 1 or 2 people, and so, and I think my game kinda crashed, but do you mean by how the XP is if someone is power leveling you? Because there is no kind of power leveling in the game. If a level 50 brings a level 20 in a 50 map, the level 20 would still be getting the same amount as if he's doing a level 20. I need to end task the game because it kind of. Okay, restarting the game. In the meantime, I'm just gonna put this. So yeah, currently there are no incentives in regards to making people play. Besides, it's
Ah, that's
faster. And
interesting.
yeah, the enemies do seem to give you a certain percentage of XP instead of giving you a flat number of XP. So they kinda made it so that the XP gains scale,
So
regardless what
EXP and
level.
items scale to character level, I guess.
Oh yeah, the items do scale, but the items do have a requirement. But if I'm level 50, and if I go in a level 20 map of the same frontier, I would be wearing level 20 items. If I'm level 50 in Goblin and I go into a level 20 Hivit with a level 50 Goblin item, the level 50 Goblin item would first get scaled down to level 20, and then because it's the different frontier there would be another 3 levels penalty. So it will end up being level 17. So items that are high level that you can equip scale. Like this one is a level 50 item, but I can't wear it because I don't have level 47 Goblin Frontier. But you see me now starting a map, and you see that some of the gear I wear is scaling. So basically, wrong frontier penalty is 3 levels, and that's applied after the downscaling to the map level. So if you're level 50 doing level 50 of the different frontier, your level 50 items will be downscaled to 47 if they're the wrong frontier. That isn't something too bad, it's manageable, you can kind of deal with it easily. Because 47 items are still kind of okay on level 50 content. So let's see, I was doing high vid. I'm gonna do another high vid map. Just gonna craft one as well. This is how you craft maps for the end game. Currently there isn't much in the end game besides this.
Oh,
And you
interesting.
kinda...
Weird concept.
It is weird concept. In a way it is nice to help you feel challenging when doing low level content with your WoW friends. Like if you have a WoW friend that's level 20 and you're level 40 and you want to help them catch up to you quickly, you can just jump in their content, all your gear would get downscaled and you wouldn't feel too powerful. Of course, a level 50 with everything legendary would be much more powerful than a level 20 with everything blue, because they would still have extra bonuses, extra mods, even if their level 50 gear is downscaled to level 20. They wouldn't be as powerful as a level 50 without the downscaling, so they would have some challenge in their way, but it won't be too difficult for them either, because they would have some good gear. And there is no trading at the moment, so why we are stacking items is because we're hoping in the future they would add some sort of system where we can do something with unneeded legendaries. At first you kind of don't get many drops, but past level 35, 36, 37 you would probably start getting more and more legendaries, and by the time you hit 50... Oh, look at that glitch, I kind of couldn't enter my map. Let's try and enter it that way. Once you hit 50 you will start farming gear, level 50 gear, and eventually you would fill your warehouse, you would fill your wardrobes. So it's alpha. Currently there is no system that allows us to salvage or to use those weapons for crafting or whatever. But they are thinking of adding something like that, I'm sure. There will be skill respect system coming soon in maybe update 8 or 9, we'll see. I don't think update 7 would bring us the skill respect, but you never know. And it will work. Path of Exile has something like Orb of Regret. And you can use Orb of Regret with a gem, which is your skills, in the trader, and it will give gem. If I'm using a level 20 gem with Orb of Regret. So in a way the skills that we level up from those trees will require one of this currency, regardless what they decide to name the currency. It will require one of those for each of a skill. Per set, it will be level per level, and each level down would new items that will be introduced in a future update. We would have some fun farming those bosses.
I think a skill respect is pretty important for an alpha. Especially if things are constantly changing.
Exactly. I think for an alpha it's really good to have unlimited respects, so we can keep experimenting with different skills and builds, because they would want us to test as many skills as we can. But if we can only max out, we'll be using the ones we can't max out. But why it's okay even the way it is now, because there aren't enough skills to make kind of needed to max out everything. 100 levels, which is 100 skill points, and the mage has 11 skills. The other two classes have 10 skills. Wrong. And each skill can go up to level 12, which means you can get 8 skills at level 12, 1 skill at level 4, and then 1 skill would be level 0 for this class, for the Realm Master, and for the Mage 2 skills would be level 0, I think. So you can still have 8 level 12 skills. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 if you don't use basic attack. So you can max out those 6 skills you would use, plus another 2 for passives, because as you can see, each skill gives you some synergy bonus. Like this one gives heat dissipation, this one increases the damage of all those skills, this one increases the damage of all those skills as a passive bonus, as a synergy as it's called. So currently it is manageable, but they said that they're adding it. Let me quick.
Oh, so you can get 50 levels in each faction, and each faction level allows skill points?
Each frontier can go up to 50, and each frontier
the
level
alias
gives you
said
one
this
skill
command
point.
to be of Trelittle does not exist.
My YouTube bot is special. It doesn't wanna post the link with the command, even though there is a working command which I just copy pasted from my Twitch bot. But if you open this link, you would see a roadmap shows you the current everything that's already been worked and added, stuff that will be added in future updates, and stuff that is kind of coming, but without a fixed date, without knowing exactly when. There's also some concept art. It's worth board every now and then. And if you want access to the game, there are 3 ways to get access. One site, torchlightfrontiers.com, for the RNG gods to bless you with a key, because they're sending keys every now and then, but it's all random. So it's just some script that randomly selects send them the keys. Another way, such contests you can check on the Twitter page, quite on Twitter. And the final to the game is winning a key from a giveaway. Those giveaways usually happen on the official stream page on Twitch, twitch.tv/. And when you could see such like update 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. The next one that's coming up would be update 7. A few days before the update, there's a stream that showcases it, and on those streams they usually make Gleam giveaways. Another option would be the Fun Day streams, happen every Friday around 11 AM PDT. 11 AM in the Pacific, in the American time zone. You might want to look it up what that means in your 11 AM PDT. There is a Fun Day stream. Maybe keys, but it's not guaranteed that there would be key giveaways there, unlike before each big update. So you have 3 options, as I said. I suggest just checking every now and then on the Twitter page and paying attention for Twitch streams. from the official Torchlight channel. The Discord channel, the official Play Torchlight Discord channel, usually announces when there will be a stream, either a day beforehand or a few hours before the stream. So you might want to join. There's also people who play Torchlight 2 there. So even if you're interested in playing Torchlight 2, you can kind of find people to play with there. If you've never played Torchlight 2, I strongly suggest playing it, especially if you have Switch. They recently know if it's fun, but I've been hearing good things about it. And Torchlight probably would really fit well with a console.
I'm not too
like
interested in playing an alpha, just interested in the game a little because YouTube recommended it for me. I may give it a go in an open beta when there is more content.
Oh, for sure, open beta would be time to wait if you want more content. Currently, not only is there not enough content to do, forms, they reshaped the skill system, changed it completely. Now they're changing the relic weapon system, and relic weapons are those special items that level up. They level up all the way to 50, there is a glitch currently and mine leveled up all the way to 64. But each of those has something special about them. But this is changing, and on the travel board you can see kind of what they have in mind. Build. There will be some thresholds like level 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. That would allow you to pick left or right. Side, so on the right side you would have another bonus. Is doing with their skills. As you level up the skills at certain levels, there's a threshold that allows you to pick different bonuses, different modifiers. Before Wosen had it left or right, now they don't, now they just have different ones and you can just mix match them. So this will be a fun part of the build to pick, and which specific skills to get from that relic weapon. Currently this one gives me active skill, which I can activate by pressing W. So all those stats here, poison damage, chance to poison, poison damage, health, when I activate the skill. Anything else, such as this passive, chance to fire poisonous projectiles when you hit poison targets, or some other weapons might have an active skill added to them. All those apply regardless whether you use the active skill of the relic weapon. My relic now unactive because its 30-second duration ran out. But even if I hit a poisoned target, let's try and get some more here. Those, I'll poison them, and you see, if I hit poison targets, there's those green projectiles shooting. And those projectiles are from my passive skill of the relic. So I'm assuming this have some other options, some other bonuses that which would help you kind of steer towards a certain direction in regards to your build. Like the Blood Drinker could be either steered towards a more life drinking, life leeching, or maybe towards more damage for enemies from this frontier. I saw some sort of mock-up image from the Blood Drinker, and it had this icon, which I'm assuming is damage to high-wit monsters. And probably, I'm not sure whether they would keep this, but you can currently craft a weapon from one frontier or from the other. As you can see, this is Goblin Frontier item. But maybe if you craft it in the high-wit frontier, you can get damage to high-wits. If you craft it in the Goblin Frontier, you can get damage to goblins. Wouldn't be so handling though. Just to still make an incentive of each frontier. would be focused more around the non-frontier related bonuses, and the other would be frontier related bonuses. Really looking forward to the moment when they would give us some information about this, other than the screenshot. But yes, the game is still in alpha, so it's pretty early to judge it. We still have to kind of do some judgment to the things that are added and give them feedback. Because it's kind of our duty as testers
How does the
to
quest line
experiment.
work with the frontiers?
Currently, there's a placeholder quest line that takes you all the way to level 30 in each frontier. So you have at the moment 2 frontiers. This is the Hivit frontier, and if I go to world, this is the Goblin frontier. So as you can see, there are 6 zones and 6 in-between zones that connect the public areas. Each of those zones are public, so you can see other players in them, like a MMO, a zone-based MMO, not an open world MMO. So if I go here, there would be some people running around to OBs leveling, maybe not, depending whether I get put into the same server with other people. And if I go there, there can also be some other people, but in those zones it's kind of someone's random fort and a waypoint, maybe sometimes an NPC that gives you a quest. And the quest line takes you through all those zones, and by the time you complete all the quests, you should be around level 30 in the specific frontier. After level 30 you kind of reach the so-called end game state at the moment, which is doing what I'm doing, some maps. It's nothing special, it's nothing fancy, but it's not a bad way to kind of have a fewer content for the end game. They are working on a proper quest line that is not fillers, with a story and everything. And the War Master Sean, I think he's writing the story, and he's probably already completed some parts of it. We might be seeing those. I'm not sure what the trail said. Let me quickly. I'm gonna check what's in store for update 7, whether they're adding some of those quest lines.
Crafting complete.
So Goblin Frontier Journey would be added, but the Hivit Frontier Journey would probably come with update 8 or 9, depending. Okay, let me start the next map. This should probably get me a level up now. This game has huge potential. They just have to be careful not to rush it, not to release prematurely the game and get bad press for that. They should take their time, polish out the things that they're adding, of course finish adding all the courses. It is something different than the other ARPG games, but it still feels familiar. It also is reminiscent to Torchlight 2, but there's a lot of differences. The good thing is they're listening to feedback, regardless of how it would be, they would listen to it, and if it's worth considering, they would probably consider it. And there's an option to send feedback through the in-game menu, from which I heard gets sent to as a ticket to the quality assessment team. you can send feedback there.
I think a lot of people may be turned away from gear scaling. It happens in a lot of games.
Well, this is only gear downscaling, but I would really like for them to add something like getting a legendary item level 15 or level 20 to keep scaling up as you level up, some weight to that legendary drop. Even if they reduce the rates of legendary drops, I wouldn't mind it if they add something like that, so that if I get a level 20 legendary, I can actually use it at level 50. Currently, it only works the other way around. Like, you can use level 50 gear in level 20 item, but not the other way around. Gear scaling. I think it would be fun for me to go into a level 20 map with level 50 gear and just have the stats of a level 50 item. Because I would kind of be unkillable there and it won't be fun. So if I'm helping my WoB friends, I would much rather have a bit of a challenge there. A challenge, it would still be some challenge to some extent. Now what should we level up? Let's level this for some heat dissipation. But yeah, the way the gear system is at the moment kind of feels incomplete, and I'm sure they would rework that at some point. Most of the legendary items are kind of legendary only in color. They're kind of like an upgraded version of a blue item with a fancy skin. That don't have anything special to them, but things like this one feel like actual legendary items. This is an item that can give you two bonus damages to goblin. Two bonus mods as a damage to goblins, which is pretty nice on an off, stacking 4 damage mod. There is this one that gives you crit chance versus undead and bonus crit damage and extra damage versus undead, so this is undead specific item. This is a shield that gives you extra undead defense, so another legendary that's centered around fighting undead. But this is like a general item, generic upgraded blue item. It can give you the exact same stats a blue item can, just with one more extra mod. So it feels like a fake legendary, as I would call it. This one as well. So there are those unique legendaries that have something special to them, such as a great sword with 2 attack speed mods or a one-handed sword with very interesting item. But there are also those that are pretty generic and kind of like probably placeholder. It kind of feels wrong calling them about it. To know that there are those special items that you can find that give you something unique, something that other items can't give you. What I really hate in some games is having redundant items. 3 and Path of Exile kind of have so many items that people just throw away when they get them, some uniques and legendaries. Kind of useless. Path of Exile 850 unique items, from those probably 100 builds. In Diablo, kind of the unique items, the legendary items are only used of Nightmares builds, and those are used there for those builds. It's mostly using set builds there. Anything that's not a set build is either left for a Legacy of Nightmare build or is complete trash. Not worth being in the game. So this is something developers really must watch out for, not to introduce some sort of power creep where the new items released are in the old items. and kind of make the old items redundant. The best way to handle those better, but just work towards new types of builds, new sort of play styles, new sort of gameplay. That way the old items would still be effective, just offer you something fresh that you might want to try out to incentivize you to farm those items. Like some sort of a melee build for a mage, close range combat for the mage. Blast more often. Something like that wouldn't be bad. Instead of just adding something that makes a certain skill more others too much and kind of build.
And key to use more skills.
Something that's happening to another game I've recently played, Chaos Bane. Hopefully they don't continue that trend. Just 2 weeks after launching the game they added 2 more difficulties and 1 more item rarity tier. So they added tier 5 items, green items, better than the red ones that were the
I
best,
think
and
they
they
should
added
focus
Chaos
a little
6
more
and
on some maps with teamwork like raids or something, since they are making this like MMO, and do what you are saying with relics.
Currently I think the game doesn't know whether it wants to be an MMO or an action RPG. Whether it wants to be a grinder, a typical Asian grinder MMO or Western grinder MMO, or whether it wants to be more action oriented, fast paced game where people just rush to the end game and then start farming raids, bosses, stuff like that. If they want to be like a modern action RPG, they would want people to complete the story, then reach level 50 by the time they've completed the story, if not level 50 at least 45 by the time they've completed all the quests, and then just jump on right into the end game, boss farming, raids as you said, team content. Of course there should be solo content, but an endless mode would be nice, something where you keep fighting waves of monsters in each 5 levels, each 5 waves you can either stop playing, continue for more wood, or stop and pick up whatever you've looted. Something like Grim Dawn has Crucible DLC. The Crucible DLC in Grim Dawn would really fit this game, that kind of gameplay. So this won't be a bad choice if they decide to add something like getting some upgrades here and there. Oh, more chance to poison, not so bad. Oh, this is amazing, but still not better than what I'm using in regards to damage. And damage is kind of a big deal for me. So where should we put those shoulders? Maybe in here. So those are wardrobes. You can put gear in those wardrobes.
Greater rifts. I just hope they make challenging bosses with a lot of interesting mechanics.
I really don't want them to add something like greater rifts in Diablo, because this is just number pushing. But if they do add it, then they shouldn't add something like paragons. Because imagine if Diablo had a system where the greater rift stopped at level 120 or 130 or whatever, just a limit to how far you can go in terms of the rift level, and if there was a limit at like 800 or 1000 paragons, then you would still just spend a lot of time farming better ancient items, but in regards to the leaderboard it would matter more on skill. It would matter who is using their build better, not who has spent more time grinding paragons for stats. Because currently the way Diablo is, if you have no life and you kind of spend all day farming paragons, you would have more stats than everyone else. And even if you don't use your build as effective as someone else, you would still be able to reach further due to the stat increase you've got from paragon. But if they do add something like, should add a limit to it. Even if it's an endless mode, it should still have some sort of end.
Item has finished crafting.
Like some sort of peak at the difficulty of the monsters. Or if not peak at the difficulty of the monsters, at least peak at the difficulty of the players. Limitless stat gain, stat grind. So maybe the monsters could get powerful and more powerful just to see who can beat more powerful monsters. Of the frontier is the limit, level 100 of the skills is the limit. So if they don't add something like a paragon system, but they do add an endless mode, this would be exactly what would be good. Then it will just matter about how good you are at using your build. Although even if it's like Grimdown's Crucible, when you have a specific limit where the endless in brackets mode ends, it will also be nice knowing that once you finish all stages you can open wood and just for the time you've spent. So yeah, Crucible in Grimdown is probably one of my favorite versions of a survival mode, of a wave-based survival mode in an ARPG. I'm still Chaos Bane patch that got released today. I and differ from the other ARPGs I've seen out there. Any end game. This is the only thing it has is in brackets end game, doing some maps after finishing the campaign at level 30. It is pretty stale at some time. Like if you spend more than a few hours grinding the same maps over and over and over again, it could get a bit tiring. But that's why you can kind of switch to a different character, switch to a different frontier, just to make it a bit. I used to do a game called Legendary Roulette, where I would play on my level 100 characters and just get a legendary item in the second frontier. This was to but now I just kind of want to get this level, finish my
Vent excess heat.
as a game that was recently released. Chaos Bane did get a lot of negative press, but maybe the patch they released today kind of made it better and worth the full price tag. I was telling viewers that were watching me play the game that it doesn't feel like a game worth $50, more like 25 to 30. There were some discounts. I heard some people managed to buy the game for $26, others from $39 on different websites. So this kind of makes it worth it if you can get such a cheap deal. Because even if you play the game for a playthrough on each character, that's like 4 characters, 4 playthroughs. That's play a bit of a gameplay hours, it would still be worth it, 20 something dollars for that time spent. And since Torchlight is a free-to-play game, Torchlight Frontiers, I need to incentivize players to getting rewarded for farming and stuff like that, and things like this, cosmetic items. They will do something called contracts. Probably one of the main sources of monetization. once the launch hits us, or the beta. And this will work kind of like a seasonal pass, battle pass, or whatever you want to call it in different games, where you buy that pass that season, and for a few weeks you can do different
I really
quests,
like
get
the game
rewarded.
called Maple Story 2, but a lot of things were time locked and RNG locked.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very hard to make a game that works well and can beat current meta of games.
Maple Story is your typical Korean handled RPG. It's not MMO, it's kind of half MMO. It's not, but it's online game, and there's a lot of people playing it. I've played the first part, I haven't played the second. It is a fun game, but yeah, it's kind of handled pretty much a lot of time walks. Not time walks, but time gate. Time gates aren't a good thing if they're not well. There is a limit to gating. I think this game kind of nailed it down when it comes to crafting. But even then, I don't
Use more skill.
take so long to craft. I need to wait for 30 seconds when it shouldn't take more than 5 seconds. A reasonable explanation why this is made that. Also, regarding crafting some materials for your fort, I don't see why I need to wait 12 hours or 6 hours or 3 hours just to get crafted. I mean, I don't mind waiting, but no one has explained why they decided to put those time gates in the game. But it's an alpha to work around a new crafting system. Hopefully, if they add a new crafting system, we wouldn't have
Yes, I
those
seen you crafting a
annoying
map.
time.
You also cannot craft a large amount and walk away.
Yeah. See, I'll show you now once I get to the town. But the animation of the bar, of the pro, kinda starts with 4 seconds remaining. So it seems like the animation doesn't match the time required to craft. It was 20 seconds before, now it's 30 seconds. Or it's 25 and now it's 30 seconds, something like that. I think they increased it with 5 more seconds with one of the recent updates. But the animation you but yellow bar filling up at the 4 second mark. And I think the time it takes for this animation to complete should be how much it should take for a map to get crafted. Ideally it would get crafted immediately, but still. They could leave 5
They
seconds
will
just
probably make maps 12 hours to craft rare types and charge money to speed it up.
I don't think there would be something like this, but there would be legendary. And the first season of the contracts, which was a test just
Since
to
the
see
game
how
will be
the
at
system
2p.
goes. They said that they don't want to make it pay, to make it just being purchasable. Things like additional skins for the fort and stuff like legendary maps. And I'll explain it now after this map when I get to the town, what I've seen so far from the contract system. When we start each week, we get some weekly quests and requests from the contract system. This system, which kind of ended the first test. So each week you get a few quests. You complete that quest and then you get some rewards called fame. And you have 25 fame levels to work towards. Which will be kind of items that everyone gets. Like $9 or $8 or $10. depending how much they want to charge for the.
Glow.
So whoever paid for the version would get some cosmetics like trees for their forts, some special looking buildings for their forts, and some of those rewards included legendary maps. A green map, as you can see, is 20% bonus gear work, in addition to what I get from my items. But the legendary map, it doesn't seem like pay to win to me. I don't care if someone gets better wood than me, because it's a game at the moment. So, and there's no trading. So whatever, there is no leaderboards or anything. So I really don't care. It's their own money on bullshit like a bit more gear work or a bit more XP. But many people might not. So hopefully they reconcile in the premium version and just keep the legendary maps in the free version of the contract. But I would like to see that just modify the way pets behave, not the way their skills behave. Just like a skin. Per se, this owl could look like a mini dragon link. Like a baby drake. Or a dog can kind of look like a huge werebeast of a sort on four legs. Or a cat can look like a tiger or something like that. Just changing the skin but not changing the power, the HP and etc. of the pets. If they monetize things like that or if they put them in the contracts
It is very
rewards, I
weird
wouldn't
not
mind.
to have a ladder in an action RPG.
Well, for me it's weird to have a ladder in an action RPG because it's PvE only, and something like competitive PvE just I don't think those words fit well together. It sounds like a joke to me, but that's just my opinion. I don't think PvE should be competitive. I think PvP should be competitive, whereas PvE should be focusing players to work towards a common between each other. That's why I kind of didn't get why Diablo has competitive PvE. It just feels weird to compete in PvE. But that's just my opinion. I may be a bit old school, and that's why I don't find it befitting for a PvE game to have leaderboards. I don't mind leaderboards that are just for the kicks out of it, just for bragging rights without rewarding players anything. Maybe just rewarding them some skins and stuff. I don't care about this. I just won't participate in it, but I don't care if other people can participate. This is kind of okay for me. If you're not like required to participate in the leaderboards to get some good rewards, this would be nice. But if they add something that you definitely need for your build, some rewards from that are not skin based, like not some extra armor skins, pet skins, etc., then it might feel kind of like you're forcing the players to be competing in between each other. Like in Path of Exile, I understand why there is leaderboards as who would level up faster, because the game is designed in such a way that leveling is an accomplishment. Like not losing XP, not dying, means that you're skilled or that you've picked a boring build that doesn't die. So that's kind of how it might be in there. But I'm not sure if Torchlight Frontiers needs something like that. And as you saw now, this map took like 30 seconds to craft, but only the last few seconds actually. It was even 40 seconds to craft. So they keep increasing the time needed to craft a map, and this bar starts getting filled at the last few seconds. And this should be the actual time it takes to craft a map. So they keep silently nerfing this and making it longer and longer without telling us. Kind of a douchebag move to pull on players, but not much I can do about it. So it used to be like 20-25 seconds, now it's 40 seconds. And I don't find any reasonable explanation why this should take this long to craft. Of course you can just start crafting and do like me, craft the map, start the next one, and just collect the map once your current map finishes. But I think the emphasis in action RPGs should be on the action. There should of course be a good RPG story behind the main quest lines as you level up, but they should emphasize on the action on the end game and keep adding fresh content like new map variations, new monsters, new elites with special skills that could be challenging, new bosses, and then incentivize specific builds with items that modify those builds, but to make sure it's balanced so that you don't force people to just play those builds. So
In alpha that is a
items
bad move,
that work
especially without a gold increase also. I think the reason behind the map crafting time will be to put people to work together to do maps.
well, at one point full, like the gold limit is 20,000. So if I were to pick all the items and give them to my pet and let him sell, end up having too much and just not earning gold from the things I sell. So currently the goat is not a goat goat gears maps. But this is a work in progress. They would change this eventually. This is kind of a placeholder system, I believe. It will be nice if they make the maps harder, because as you can see I can breeze through this. And I don't have the best gear possible, the build possible. But what I do like about this game is the freedom. Before, this game gives you the freedom to pick any skill you want. Like, even if I decide to take this skill instead of this skill, or to take this skill instead of that skill, it won't make me much weaker. It won't make the content impossible to complete. Currently this game does not have a single trash build. Regardless of what skills you pick, you would still be powerful enough to complete the game without it being a complete nightmare or something. In a way this is good. That means there's kind of a balance and you're not forced to play only, but you can kind of decide what you want to play and instead of having to pick the most meta build because everything else is complete trash. Most RPGs, say RPGs at the moment that have been there for a few years, kind of have 10, 11, 12 good builds. Everything else is complete trash and do any of the end game content. Like in kind of stop being useful at a certain greater rift level. Just because I've been kind of made him play those other builds if you want to push further. There's like what, probably 12 skills that are meta. Everything else is complete trash. And things like that are not good to. You're kind of forcing people into cookie cutter builds. And this doesn't feel really good. On Grim Dawn you do have some freedom, but of course a lot of the builds would shine over other builds by a yes. And even in Grim Dawn and Titan Quest you can have builds that are kind of to do the hardest content. I think a game should be about finding that good build. It should give you some more freedom to play whatever skills you want to play in the way you want to play them. More freedom means more players would like the game, because it would kind of be befitting for more bigger variety of players. This isn't bad, but not so good. I'm liking that some games kind of realize that and are trying to do some balancing, but other ARPGs kind of don't even bother to do much balancing. And that every skill would be useful. But those are also the risk of having a game be live and stay for years and years, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years and so on. Of course it would mean many of the things you would add would probably end up being more powerful than others. So the more you
Vent excess heat.
simplicity is good, and hopefully this game doesn't get too complex in regards to making a build. I'd much rather see more content being added, more maps, more frontiers. Even if the new frontiers don't add level ups stuff, if they just add frontier levels but points, I would be okay for that. Skills back to the game, so the new frontier.
That's why you need ladders and hardcore mode and good item modifiers.
You need specific unique items for sure that modify specific builds. But I don't know what wadders have to do with builds. Why you think wadders are needed for a game to be balanced? That would be okay, but I really don't see a connection and wadders like between too much complexity to the game to make it overpowered in certain builds and complete trash in another builds. Good. I mean, let's have wadders for people who want to compete and compare their EP sizes. That's okay.
Ladders are a good time to implement patches and keep player base coming back.
You could still do that with new frontiers and new characters. I think Torchlight Frontiers much benefit if it keeps adding as fresh content instead of adding new power creep mode difficulties and items that kind of not worth using. Instead of improving I mean, Waters would be good even for that, like each frontier maybe you could have people competing for the best time on certain modes, if there is a timed mode or something. But even then some builders
Time to vent.
and getting balance for the like at the moment the mage would probably be stomping everything else in regards to clear time. This guy would be the latest, lowest in regards to, because this guy isn't as fast as a mage or a rail master. Skill that gives them 50% more movement speed. With the right build they can kind of spam it all the time and keep a constant extra 50% movement speed. Whereas this class has 20% movement speed, where was it? All the time as a passive, but 20% is nowhere near 50%. So this class would be very far behind. And the way they've designed the game with those frontiers, I think the best way to get people paying and returning for each new season would be skins, like armor skins that are special and unique to the specific season, that people can buy the seasonal pass and get that special skin. And also new characters, keep spewing new characters, balancing things. This is, as I was saying, there is a time gate in the game, the crafting. So 30 sandstone blocks is 30 minutes. And 240 is 240 minutes. So if I want to craft 240 bricks, I need 480 stones. And I don't see a reason behind this time gate. It kind of feels unnecessary. So if they want to add leaderboards, they really need to balance things more. And this is very difficult to balance. They could separate it like Diablo, but Torchlight has never been about leaderboards, about competing between each other. It was more about working towards, it was more co-op instead of competitive oriented. Unless they decide to kind of do it its own thing in Torchlight Frontiers. And Torchlight 2 was made great by mods. It was a good game, but the modders, the modding community kind of made it even better than it is. And just the fact that the modding was centered around adding new classes, new skills and stuff like that. You can download like a mod pack, I think Draco's mod pack or something like that on Steam, that has like 60 something, 70 something different classes. So this means that the Torchlight new classes, new different difficult dungeons and acts and stuff like that. If you look at the frontiers, just do horizontally instead of having to complete one before you can start the other. It kind of feels better than having to complete Act 1 in Diablo than having to complete Act 2. Whereas you can just complete halfway the Goblin frontier, then start doing some farming in the other frontier just to get the levels faster. Because the first few levels are easier to get. And you see,
it is definitely a hard game to get right. But there is a reason why Poe is the top action RPG, even though there are builds that can one-shot the entire map.
the player base. Doing what the player base wants. Most of the times it's kind of being slave, or I don't like this word, but I'll say it. Being like slaves to the players, to what the players want to see in the game, which is but kind of the community. A lot of I would really prefer if Torchlight Frontiers tries to cater for the more casual players that don't want to be so hardcore, that don't want to be so competitive, and would just rather co-op, have some fun. Just the fact that we don't lose XP when we die is enough of a just this fact goes for Chaos Bane. Lose XP when I die. Though in a few hours. Around with my build, resetting my skill points, farming fragments to keep resetting my skills and test new builds on a certain character. This is what's fun for me. I like reaching the end game quickly, the max level quickly, and then just experimenting with my character and changing its builds until I find the most suitable build for myself. This feels more like an action RPG to me than Path of Exile per se. Even though the game is enjoyable to me than Path of Exile. This game is also more enjoyable even though it's an alpha and barely has any end game. Because it's not limiting me, it's giving me more freedom. Exile, first of all, you can only enter 6 times. And then on top of that, to get double fact you, and there is no casual league where you don't lose self-found league seasonal content. When you die you lose XP, so I don't think this will, because the whole game is kind of designed in such a way to make leveling up the game, to make leveling up. And this game kind of really fits me as a more casual player, as someone that's kind of had enough of competition over the years of gaming. I kind of look for something that you can just chill, kill some monsters, get some loot. The only thing the leveling up, an actual valid point of why the game should be so slow to level, but even this I can look past. I can play a different game when I get bored of the slow pacing. I can play this for a few hours, then move on to another game, play this for a few hours, move on to another game, and so. But this game needs a bit more difficulty. It is still pretty good and casual, but a bit more difficulty would still kind of keep it casual, but not too easy, because at the moment I can kind of not die. If I don't make a mistake, I probably won't. And even if I do make some mistakes, the elite encounters in general need to be more powerful, more difficult. Is this good? Not so good. Another thing, something to do with those blue and yellow items. I've posted on Reddit 2 different suggestions. A Diablo 3 style salvaging legendaries resources to try and get better. The way Diablo 3 handled rerolling items would be perfect for this game. The way legendaries at the moment are just upgraded blues. Legendary. Down on a specific build that centers around maybe. This is an upgrade. A certain build that centers around heat from rapid fire, or if I want faster cooldown for
I was
poison.
watching a video earlier. The pet does make it very easy to hold off bosses. So far it's a very casual game, but I do hope they implement a lot more things.
Yes, so far it is a very casual, and before they nerfed the pet, end of map bosses. And it's not that the pet is too powerful.
What about the Waypo with Chaos Orbs?
Oh no, Path of Exile and Chaos Orbs is definitely not the way you should do rerolling. Diablo does it better because it options. You salvage some items, then you use the resources, then you decide which mod you want to remove, and then it allows you to pick between 3 viable options for this mod. So I would much rather not have the Path of Exile. I'd much rather have the not so crappy RNG fest that is in Diablo 3. I mean, of course it's still RNG, and I've sometimes had to do 100 or 200 rows until I get something that I want in Diablo 3. But it's still much faster to farm the resources in Diablo 3 than it is in Path of Exile. When you start rerolling, could turn into a nightmare. But Diablo 3 may have bad things about it that I don't like, but the rerolling Kadawa, the gambling system, was also a good simulator. But instead of farming sacrifice legendaries, like sacrifice 5 shields, get a new legendary shield. Five legendary shields of the same type, like 5 of those, or 3 of those, depending what they decide, give you a new one with new mods. This also would work fine. Or if I put one such shield, and one other shield, it could give me a random shield legendary. Or if I put this offhand with this offhand and another one, it could give me an offhand random. But if I put like 3 of those, it would give me a new one with better or worse mods. This would be okay, but I'd much rather, because it's much better in regards to RNG.
I think Diablo 3 was a good game but then got very easy with Reapers of Soul expansion.
And then it just kept and forcing players to just farm new gear that made it. And power creep is not the way to, but some people do like it, and I think enjoy the obsolete the game with necessary gear. The thing is, people kind of don't like what I believe should be good, so I'm what I think is kind of what really small part of the community thinks action RPG should be is not what the majority of the players see it as, so it's hard to cater to everyone, and certainly catering to someone that has the same ideas as me won't be beneficial to the developers too much, because many of the other players they do like grinding. They do like wasting their time too much on pointless shit instead of just farming for fun. I don't mind grinding for gear, but when it comes to grinding for XP, I kind of have a limit. I also do like grinding for rerolling items, rerolling, respecking, and even though Chaos Bane kinda received, the way it handles skill respects is something to those different gems, the endgame mode spec. So 55 of those gems of each type I can build. 300 per map, and a map takes me like 10 minutes or so. So within like 100 minutes, like let's say 2 hours maximum, I would be able to.
I don't mind grinding, but I do hope this game has interesting monsters and item modifications and skills, otherwise I wouldn't know what I'm grinding for if those aspects aren't fun.
I would really like the wood in the game. When the wood is driving the game, when you keep the people farming to get that good look bonuses for a certain build, it would be nice. What I would like to see is items that modify every different skill. Like this guy has 10 skills. I would like to see some build related items that modify using things like swag shot and shotgun, or things like vent vortex bomb and cyclone mode, or things like servo driven uppercut and ramming robot. Just different combinations just to modify the skills. Like not make bit different normally. Like swag shot, let me show you swag shot. Swag shot basically cannon. This is the cannon. Next to each other, that would be pretty nice. Just that would make you wanna farm this specific legendary cannon because it would allow for a certain different playstyle. Of course, to balance things out, it could probably reduce the crit chance of slug shot or maybe reduce the damage just to accommodate for the two projectiles. So they should be very careful on balancing things like this. But something like this would incentivize people to farm, to wanna grind, to wanna spend a day grinding for that item, and knowing that even if they don't get it today, they will still try tomorrow. Because in the spare time while they're grinding for this specific cannon, they might get something else that they may want to use on a certain build on another character and so on. So the wood should be the main driving point of Wooter games. That's what Wooter. That's kind of what ARPGs are called nowadays, from what I've been hearing. So this I got is pretty nice mace. 40% chance to poison and chance to knock back. But I would have to replace it with this one, because I got this noxious venomous focus. My DPS is kinda suffering. It's 4.3 thousand this way, and if I go back to my previous, it's 3.7, so it's still better.
What about an item that makes all skills overheat you 100% and another item that increases DMG of slug shot if overheated and reduces cost of overheating?
Well, things like that should be sent as feedback, like this feedback. Or there's also feedback at extra.com, like the feedback email that the developers would read. So those are all good ideas, and what we need to do as testers of this game is forward any weird or crazy ideas we have to the developer. If they think it's worth adding it to the game, they would certainly experiment, see if it works. What this game has is something unique. Every single character has a specific gimmick about it. This guy has overheating. I can show you the different characters now, because you might want to just check something different. So this mage, no, not this mage has a balance between light magic and dark magic. So this is the specific thing about that class. And the Realm Master has something called Endurance. And it also is a summoner. The Realm Master is in a way a summoner, so it kind of can play as a summoner of trains, but it can also play as a pure AoE knockback stun kind of character. So this is my level 50 mage. Let me quickly check if I've got potions. I have got my high vid gear equipped, so I'll do some high vid maps. In the meantime, let me sell some potions. We also need to be able to shift and right click to buy 5 potions. So now I'll show you some endgame content, endgame level 50 farming on a level 100 character. I'm trying to now play builds that are not meta, cause I'm kind of sick of playing the most effective build. Currently the meta would be anything that implements energy spike, but they recently buffed entropy, so entropy is also a good alternative. Many people don't like Absolver, but when used correctly it could be almost as powerful as Unholy Bolt. So it's a good skill. This skill would be good if you max it out, because as you can see each level up gives shit tons of radiant blast damage. That's why I really want to be able to respec soon, so I can just check a radiant blast maxed out build. This would get around 500% weapon damage, and 500% weapon damage you cannot get from any different skill of that class. Even with Unholy Bolt, it's 3 bolts. I'll show you. It shoots 3 bolts that randomly travel, and that means 300 weapon damage for when you hit the enemy with all 3 bolts. Now I'm kind of playing a weird build, not what most people would be playing. I would really like to see some sort of a Warwalk, a proper summoner build, like a real Nethermancer that can summon some Nether brutes, Nethering brutes or Nethering mages. Because currently you see my Spirit Well being able to summon those little Netherling enemies. This skill, let me just see some enemies first. This is the skill I'm talking about. It summons those Netherlings, and it's a very powerful skill. So I would like to see something, some class that kind of focuses on around controlling different Netherim, summoning them. Seems the game is rubber banding on me. The monsters keep kind of twitching. I'm not sure if that's me or the server. It wasn't like that on the other character. Entropy is very great when you do entropy, so you can kind of team the enemies. Shoot entropy and just do some of those absolver shots. And the balance I was talking about is this. When you fill this bar, you gain a damage buff. So you fill it with casting light spells, and then once you cast a dark spell when it's full, you get a damage buff. And when you fill the white bar with dark spells, then you can get a energy regen buff. Oh, you. Okay, this is the energy regen buff. Now, while I have this buff, maybe I can just
These skills
spam
are
some
very
absorb.
similar to Sorcerer on Diablo 3.
Hey, they're very similar to Sorcerer
Aside
on
from the
Diablo
summon.
2. Something that probably the Sorcerer doesn't have is Energy Spike. As I said, Energy Spike is probably one of the most powerful skills. And you'll see how much damage it does in a moment. Let me just show you. So while I'm standing in Consecrate, and it's actually more than 50, it used to be 50, now it's 25%. But you gain extra bonus damage from leveling up the skill, and if there's allies standing inside the circle, you can see you can get extra bonus damage. If I were to play with this skill, have 200 HP instead of more HP. So this map is kind of even with double HP, this is pretty fast to clear. And if I were to use my normal build, I would do something like this. My normal build looks like that. Where was it? This is kind of what my normal build looks like. So for close range, single target burst, I'm using Unholy Bolt.
Fire is for goblins and poison is for this.
Yes. Fire is for goblins. You have fire damage and you have goblin defense. So as you can see, this gives both fire and goblin. The thing here is there's something that's not clear, and I really hope the developers would make it clear. If a goblin uses a fire skill, does goblin defense work against this fire skill, or does only fire defense work against this goblin fire skill? Also, there's fire and poison skeletons. Against those, does poison and undead defense work against a poisonous archer and stack up? Or does only poison work against it? I would really like to see some official wiki that someone from the staff would update with some information about mechanics and things like that. I would really like more transparency. There aren't many things in the game, so it won't be that difficult to give us more transparency about what is in the game now. So yeah, if there's a skeleton that uses fire, would I benefit from both fire defense and undead defense against that enemy? Or would I just benefit against fire defense when he's using the fire skills? And same goes for goblins and fire, or hybrids and poison. Now let me go back to my other build, cause I am kind of sick of playing energy spy.
Yeah, this looks like a very early alpha.
Indeed. There's also this bug here. Where is it? This bug. Look at this stretched icon. This is because I changed it from number 3 to spacebar. I mean, I can still use number 3 on it, but as you can see my key binding, I added spacebar. And now it stretches so it can show spacebar.
You need more mana.
So this is something they might wanna look into. It kinda stretches the whole skill and prolongs the whole thing there. It is an early alpha and there is a lot of room for the game to grow. A lot of things that they can change, make better. I just hope they don't turn out being, as I said, I don't like using this word due to my country's history, but they don't turn out being slaves to the players and kind of
LOL.
do things the way
Cool
they
bug.
want to do.
Insufficient mana.
If they listen to the community to a certain extent, that's fine, but if they try to do it won't be good. And because nowadays many developers just try to make the game exactly what every single player wants in it, and it's kind of impossible. You're just gonna have a bad time if you try to please everyone.
I think with the cross-platform it will be a very casual game. I just hope
Exactly.
they make it interesting and refreshing.
Exactly. If they cater to the casual player base, it would give them a specific niche, something that people who don't play Path of Exile because it's too hardcore would much rather play this game. And people who are kind of sick of the endless number pushing in Diablo 3 and want to play something more casual would also love to play this. As long as they keep adding fresh new content, new characters, new maps, new zones, new frontiers,
Not enough mana.
new item models that may not be too difficult, not too difficult but too different and too powerful compared to the current item, just maybe different looking and just giving a different type of playstyle that's not imbalanced, then they can surely. And the more casual the game, the more people play it, if you haven't noticed. Mobile game market share, then console games are on second place and PC is on the third place after. That's a kind of hardcore games are PC and console. So of course that shouldn't be as casual as a mobile game, but it probably shouldn't be as hardcore as Path of Exile. Some people use Bane and Pagan Online feel like mobile games. I haven't played Pagan Online because I don't have money to buy it, and unless I find a free copy or something, I won't be able to try it. But I've tried Chaos Bane, and Chaos Bane does not feel like a mobile version. It does feel like a console game, console port, but it feels okay. It feels just the right amount of difficulty to the game. Sometimes it feels a bit too difficult than it should be, but that's just balancing issues that they've been working on. I saw the patch notes for the last Chaos Bane patch, and they seem to be trying to balance the game even though they've added new difficulties and new items. Hopefully they don't turn Chaos Bane into another Diablo 3, where the power creep just keeps coming and coming. Do you want to see the Realm Master? Let me quickly show you the Realm Master a bit. I do have YouTube videos for this game, class builds. So if you want to see specific builds for the game or just specific gameplay of just one character, you can try and look at those videos. The same goes for Chaos Bane if you're wondering if it's worth buying. Although I haven't done anything after today's patch in Chaos Bane, so I'll have to redo all my builds and
All
consider the new
top-down
change.
arcs could pass as mobile games.
Well, yeah, but the HUD is the main difference. Mobile games kind of tend to be more simplified with just a few skills that you can use, because that means even with touch you can play them. Whereas games that have like more than 7, 8 skills or something like that, then they would be harder to play on a mobile game, on a mobile phone or a tab. Let me quickly show you the Realm Master. I'll probably stream for another half an hour or so, and then I'll just kind of have to end my stream because it's too late. So this is my Realm Master. The build I normally play, I code AoE Master, so it's in my Torchlight builds playlist. I did see great interest to my Chaos Bane videos, and this was one of the reasons to keep me posting content and build videos for the game, because I did see some interest compared to the Torchlight videos, because Torchlight is still alpha, closed alpha, so there aren't many players who play the game who want to watch videos of the game. So I was experimenting before I walked out last time. I was showing people some things about attack speed, how broken the attack speed is in this game. In this game, the attack speeds are very low and fast. And let's see. Let me quickly return this offhand where it. So you have a rail hammer, which is very slow. As you can see here, very slow basic. Now, if I remove those gloves with 90% attack speed, and just equip those that don't have a. Then I equip those gloves. Now if I were to equip a great sword and remove the gloves first, this is slow attack speed. Now just to show you with the gloves, now let's equip a staff just to show you how broken staffs are. With this staff I have 32, let's say another 60% attack speed from the staff. So I'll quickly show you a staff without a that's supposed to be very slow. Same attack speed as the great sword. Now I would make things better and equip a staff with 60% attack. Now let's add those 90% attack speed from the gloves. Now let's do the same with the sword. I don't have a sword with attack speed.
Does attack speed only roll for this class?
No, attack speed rolls for every class, but attack speed only works on basic attacks. It doesn't modify the spells. So a mage with attack speed is kind of a waste of mod. This class has a benefit of using basic attacks, because this passive skill gives you railhammer damage, weapon damage 100%. The thing is, this doesn't work the way I would like for it to work. If it increases the railhammer damage, then shouldn't it in fact increase the damage of every single skill when you're wielding a railhammer? You would think that's the case, but it isn't. So even if I don't have this bonus skill as a passive, I would still do the exact same weapon damage on my skills. So leveling up a hammer spin does not increase your ghost train damage or pound damage or whatever when you equip a rail hammer. And it's easy to check. I'm using a staff now, and this shows 567 weapon damage. And it would do a specific certain amount of damage, and if I equip a rail hammer, it wouldn't do more, it also wouldn't do more weapon damage. It would increase my basic attack, but not the normal attack damage that the skill does. So let me show you a sword. The sword is supposed to... Let's equip the normal glove. And where did the OP staff go? This is not the OP staff. Where did we leave that overpowered stuff? There it is. This is the overpowered stuff. Let's equip the normal. Kind of the same attack speed as a sword. Over. It's hard to tell. But the stuff is supposed to be slow. To be, what's it called? Very fast? Fast attack speed. The staffs are broken.
If it was base DPS over weapon DPS, it would be hard to balance.
Well, most skills use weapon DPS. They use weapon DPS, but this skill kind of gives you base DPS, so it only modifies the basic attack. It's still good, but I think they need to rework the attack speed. First of all, the staff needs to be nerfed. Second of all, the Great Blade needs to be made the same attack speed as a staff base. And they need to change those values. See, this attacks up to 3 targets for 75% weapon damage. The staff attacks up to 3 targets for 80% weapon damage, but the staff should be hitting more targets because it's a wider weapon. maybe it could hit up to 5 targets for 70%. But it would be slower than a sword. There needs to be some serious rebalancing to basic attacks. Currently staffs are broken and everyone who uses basic attacks would prefer to use a staff. And just to see this, even on a sword with those gloves, even though they're level 30, look at those gloves with the rail hammer. But the rail hammer hits up to 3 targets for usually the rail hammer is 150% weapon damage. But this skill improves it to all the way to 300 weapon damage. So it does increase the weapon damage for this skill, but not for the others. So these two tips should say slam or basic attack weapon damage for the rail hammer increase, rail hammer basic attack damage increase, or the name of the skill, which is called slam weapon damage increase with rail hammer. So yeah, it does increase the base damage, and this class would benefit a lot from using a rail hammer, although the way I play it with a main hand and an off hand. And my main hand of choice would be either something like this with a lot of flat damage, or something with poison and shock. Currently those classes are broken. You cannot get focus items on this class, so you can kinda have to farm focus items on another class and transfer it over, which would mean it would give you mana regen per second or steam dissipation per second, which this class does not benefit from. This is something I would really like to see fixed soon in one of the coming hotfixes or patches, like attack speed rework and making focus items drop on Realm Masters. If they don't drop on Realm Masters, then make it so that Realm Masters can't equip focus items. Otherwise, what's the point of being able to equip an item that cannot drop for the class? So I'd rather either use something like this flat damage weapon or a poisoned and a chance to shock weapon. If I have something like this, nice additional bolts per... oh, not this. So this gives me 2 additional bolts, and then if I find some gloves with additional bolts like this, you can stack all the way to 8. I'm not sure if you can get 10 bolts fired on shock. And if you get a poison weapon, you can stack even some poison. Heal. I can burn enemies, so I can stack burning, poisoning, my pet does bleeding, and the shock and poison bolts. Let me check what gear I'm wearing. I'm wearing Goblin Frontier, so let me show you some Goblin maps. Oh fuck, wrong frontier. Need to craft a new map. Also, I haven't showed you the relic weapons, but you can check them here. Once update 7 hits, I'll make a new video for those relic weapons, but you can kind of craft those weapons and each of them gives you a different bonus. You saw my poison staff bane on the forged. This is the relic weapon on this character. It gives me the active skill I showed you. It gives me this active skill, and actually it also gives me the weapon activation skill, which for 30 seconds gives me 5% attack speed per enemy hit up to 5 stacks of total 25% attack speed. So this build can stack a lot of attack speed. Of course, when you use the active relic weapon
How do you get Ember cores?
You get those cores from specific bosses. So there is a poison boss or 2 that can drop the poison cores. There's a goblin boss called White Vault that can drop the fire core. And there's also the This weapon, no, I can't show you now, but the Blood Drinker you get from the campaign for free, from the main quest line. But if you want to farm a new Blood Drinker, you can farm a specific undead boss. It tells you which bosses you need to kill in order to get the cores on the crafting menu there. So if you go to the relic weapons crafting window, you can see which boss drops which. I'll do an in-depth guide once update 7 hits, once they rework the system. I just don't see a point in doing a video for the way the system is now, knowing that in a couple of weeks or in 3 weeks we would get a new update. So this class, the way I'm playing it now, doesn't use the summoning, but if I want to play it with the summon, with the train skills, I would need this skill. Or maybe let's put this skill here. And I can probably take, let's take Flamethrower and maybe Mortar Car. No, we can't take Flamethrower and Mortar, we can take Flamethrower and Shotgun. So let's do something like this. So now I'm summoning this train, and as I go I'm building tracks. This you can toggle on and off with my... Now the train, as I move it, you see this circle around the train, this means this is the train's range. So it has some passive skills, but it also has some active skills. Like this one I just activated was an active skill. So this one passively burns enemies, the other one passively shoots like a shotgun, a Kono AoE around its... So if I were to activate my number 2, this would happen. If I were to activate my what's it called, shotgun car, I would do it here now. Projectile. Here I hit it with a piercing projectile. So you kind of have to babysit this. It's not my preferred build, but it's very powerful, especially the flamethrower car. The flamethrower car on bosses is amazing. So you can probably do something like this hybrid build with shotgun car, flamethrower, ghost train and stuff like that. But you have to pay attention to your endurance and to your cooldowns. This blasting charge increases the damage enemies take. So it's nice.
Cool
It's a
concept.
good way. Yeah, it's, as I said, each class has some sort of a gimmick to it. So it's not your typical classes you can see in an action RPG. Every class has something unique to it in this game, which I think is what they should focus around. They should focus on making new weird classes and selling skins for those classes for real money. That way people would always have something new to buy, to spend money.
Allows 2 tracks.
It would be interesting, but I don't know how the engine would handle such a mechanic. If they handle this like a MOBA game where they keep spewing new characters, making sure that the new characters are not overpowered compared to the old ones, and spewing skins and pet skins and things like that, they would have a constant flow of income from the players, because everyone would want to try this new character, everyone would want to buy a new skin for the new character, the same way they do in MOBA games like Dota, League of Legends, Smite and things like that. The way Smite is handling their seasonal passes is a good way of handling them. So if they handle the how's it called, the contracts passes the same way, it would be. I really wouldn't want to see something like cancer skill effects, something that fills the whole map of effects and you can't see the monsters you're fighting. That's another reason why sometimes Path of Exile can get overwhelming when you're playing in a full team. You can barely see what you're fighting sometimes. So you're kind of forced to play those overpowered use annoying skill effects, and there's no way of tuning down those effects sometimes, or just making sure you only see your own effects. And this game kind of doesn't have such annoying skills that are kind of very bad on the eyes. So I'll finish this map and maybe that would be it for me for tonight.
Hard to think of a character with 20 skills frequently.
Well, it's not that difficult. I mean, you can see how some games are doing it. Maybe every 3 or 4 months they can release a new character, and that would be okay. Even if it's once every 6 months, it would still keep the people fresh, and they would still wanna level up that new character, buy new skins for. Of course, they can't pull a new character every 1 or 2 months, but 6 months seems like a okay time to make a new character. Even if it don't get released with all the skills, like you see, we've got some skills that are work in progress. We've only got 10 skills at the moment, so there's a total of 16 skills in the game, I think. You can see 8 skills here, and this class will actually have 15 skills. So the mage would have 16, this one would have 15. So it's not entirely 20 skills, it's not that difficult, and at the moment none of the classes have all their skills. This has 10 skills, the forge has 10 skills, the mage has 11 skills. Half a year per character seems a reasonable amount of time.
There was a
it will
game
ensure
called Dungeon Defenders 2 who did something similar and overwhelmed their players.
Well, there's also a balance. I mean, they should kind of have a limit to it. At some point they would just keep adding new frontiers and new gear. But yeah, even if it's a new character per year after launch, by the time they launch the game should have at least 5 heroes. But the bare minimum would be 4 heroes, so you can have a full group, 4 people, each with a different character. The way they're designing the skills, they want people to synergize. They want them to combine different characters and play together. So it is designed for team play, and just not promoting team play much the way the game is now. Which is okay, it's alpha, they don't have matchmaking. If they add simple matchmaking that groups you up with people who wanna do questing or people who wanna do farming, it would be nice. The same way you have Rift queue and you have Bounty queue in Diablo. So even if they just add endgame farming post level 30, that groups you with players around your level, it would still be okay, so you can easily find people to play with. I can think of things and ideas to add to the game all day, and I can never run out of ideas. And I can keep the ideas fresh without repeating myself much, but there's so much they can add in the short amount of time they have per update. And they have limited resources, limited budget, and a small amount of people working, because it's not a huge studio. So there's just a limit to what we can expect from the devs by the time the game launches. As I've said multiple times, they're focusing on fixing the core features of the game, and once they fix and implement all things that they've planned as the core features of the game, then they would start adding new stuff to the. Wait, I was trying to return my build because I'm sick of playing the train. I was just showing you the train so you can see what it is. I haven't showed you the shield car, but basically there is a shield car that shields you and the players that stand around. Then there's also the mortar car. So the build that I use kind of uses this relic skill as a fewer. It centers around dealing a lot of damage with Ghost Train, and the way I play this build can be changed. There's two ways of playing the build. One of them is playing it as a Ghost Train build, the other one is playing it as a spamming Blasting Charge and Pound build. This one does not use endurance, but this uses endurance, this uses endurance, and this uses endurance. So in between the endurance skills, you can
The
use
pathing seems
Hammer
a
Spin
little
and
tight.
Flaming Destroyer. And the pathing, yeah, with the train for sure could be reworked. They've been working on the train, they've been tweaking the speed, trying to find a good balance. Update 6 to the train because the players were able to spam spin and keep their movement speed boosted. Then the train couldn't scale up with us. Now the train does scale up as So this build that I'm playing, as I said, you could either spam ghost trains and not bother using those too much, and just do hammer spin and flaming destroyer, or try and play the dynamite stunner way. Dynamite, then stunning, some flaming destroyer in between.
No,
Or
no.
you can
The
just
pathing
mix
of
it
the
up
maps.
around.
Are there wider maps that aren't open world?
Uh, this map that I'm doing is not open world, but they are wider maps that are open world. Those maps I'm doing are based on the dungeons that you encounter. After this boss fight, I
Or
will
are these
explain it.
caves the similar layout?
This what I'm doing is based on the dungeons. The dungeons are private dungeons that you only see you and your party. And each zone has 3 or 4 depending on the frontier dungeons. And each frontier has 6 zones. So as I was showing you earlier, this hybrid frontier has 6 zones and each zone has 4 dungeons. Whereas the Goblin frontier has 6 zones with 3 dungeons each. So I can quickly, after this map, before I stop my stream, just show you what the public zone looks like. The public zones have waypoints. So you can teleport to the public zone, and then in that public zone you would have to do some quests from the main quest line. Those quests usually take you to those one by one. And they just require from you to kill some things or to collect some things. But as I said, the quests are placeholders. Sean, the War Master of the game, is working on new stories, and he's completed the Goblin Frontier story from what we can tell from the travel board. And those are the public zones. So in the public zone it's you and whatever other people got put into the same server. Currently there is one big server, but it splits the players into different nodes, different zones. So at the moment there's only one server in America, in I think the West Coast, because I think the company is San Francisco based, so it makes sense for the server to be West Coast. And many people from Asia per se, even though they are invited to the alpha, they say they're not playing it because their ping is too high to be able to play it, which is understandable. I mean, I don't see it viable to buy multiple servers for multiple time zones when you're in alpha. One server seems to be good enough for alpha. So those players would just kinda have to wait. I'm having 150, 160, sometimes all the way to 200 ping. Usually it's around 150 and 60 though. And I'm from southeastern Europe. So I'm like 9 or 10 hours behind the server. 9 or 10 time zones far from the server. So I'm kind of chilling, I'm mashing my numbers, my buttons without even trying to play at the moment. But if I do try to be effective, I would be doing some combos like, if I have max endurance, I would do something like the dynamite, then stunning the enemies, and then using hammer spin to finish them off. Or I would blast them, then I would use ghost rain, and then hammer spin to close in, and then finish off with this skill. There are combos you can do
I'm
with this
from New
skill.
Zealand, that would be 250 ping for me eek.
Yeah, it probably would be. So yeah, if you're from New Zealand, you definitely have to wait for beta, and probably open beta, because I'm not sure if they would add more servers for closed beta. It all depends, but it surely won't be alpha. So let me quickly, before I end my stream for today, let me show you some of the public zones, so you just kind of have a general idea what a public zone is. I'm gonna try and aim for a middle level public zone. Maybe let's go for Gobdunk. There might be some people leveling up there at the moment. Just so I can find a player that is in the same zone as me and show you what it looks like. You can see them on the map. You can see their name. There's also a nearby chat with /n, and there's area chat with /a, I think. So you can send messages to nearby players like, or area like this. So this is the map, and if there was a player, it would show me a yellow arrow. Let me try and go to a higher level zone just to check if someone is leveling up there. Now we're on a quest to find another player in those public zones. I'll keep teleporting until I find one. Just so I can show you kind of what it looks like, how it is. Of course, even if there is someone who is in that zone, it doesn't mean I would get put into the same instance of that zone as them. So it's not completely MMO, because there's different instances, different channels, and you cannot switch between channel 1, channel 2, and so on, like you per se could do in Guild Wars 1 in the towns, or some other MMOs. But yeah, Torchlight Frontiers really needs to decide whether he wants to be focusing more on the MMO aspect or on the action aspect of the RPG. There's a lot of potential in the franchise, in the game, and it would really fit players of all ages and of all levels of experience, be it some hardcore gamers who are trying to min-max everything and squeeze the fun out of everything, or whether it's just casual players who just want to farm for 1 or 2 hours after work, get some new loot, chill with some friends, do some bosses. Even kids, even people can play with their kids. Torchlight Frontiers is a kid-friendly game. If I had kids, I probably wouldn't mind playing it with them. Well, I can't find a zone with other players. Unlucky this time. Maybe they're grinding in the other frontier. The game does need more population. It does need something that would help us play together more often. Because now it kind of turned out like a solo online game. But it's so, as I said, it's alpha, so many of the players just play for a bit, then stop, then return later, play some more after each new update. I still want Torchlight Frontiers to be my main game I'm streaming after it releases. But for now I'm kind of hopping between another game and this one, and then when Borderlands 3 releases I'm gonna focus a bit on that. But yeah, I can't find another player, but as you can see there's a waypoint and there's those dungeons. The layout of the maps kind of gets randomized, but it keeps some rules to
Yeah,
it
I was
most of the time.
expecting more teamwork and in-game world chat or something during an alpha.
There is an area chat, but I don't know whether people on the other servers would. And there is nearby chat with /n, but that's kind of it. And as you see, those zones, they're very good when you're leveling up because you can just run between one hotspot where there's elites spawning and another hotspot. And you can just gain some levels before doing the dungeons. This is a great way to level up. Find two good hotspots with elite spawns and run from one to the other. Kill the elites on one spot, run back to the other, killing everything on your way and killing the elites there. But sometimes it's not that easy to find two good hotspots. Like this layout, currently the two good hotspots would be this one and this one probably. So if I were to go there, I'll just keep spamming my hammer spin. So this probably would be one of the... no, still not there. Actually, yeah, it kind of is. This map, look at this mini map and look at this map. This one is glitched. It's not showing the correct location. So this probably would be a hotspot where elites might spawn. But something that surely should have some elites is around here. But yeah, if you're in a public zone and you find elites somewhere, and then you keep moving forward and find elites in another spot, if they're close to each other, you can just keep farming those until the night comes. When the night comes, you can just go into a dungeon and do a dungeon and get some easy level up stat. Of course, for me, there's no point of farming those, except trying to look for phase beasts. You know what Zana is in Path of Exile? The phase beast is kind of the same. It's a purple, something like those tigers that I'm fighting, but they're pur purple and semi-transparent. When you kill it, it spawns an epic map, like a map with 2 or 3 modifiers. And the map is always your level, so now I'm level 50 in this frontier. If I see a phase beast, it will be a level 50 map that the beast spawns. But those phase beasts only spawn in public maps. And this is a huge missed opportunity for the game to make some additional end game content for us. If there was a level 47, 45, 46 all the way to 50 public zone, then us players can go and grind items in this zone, even some XP before level 50, and we can farm some phase beasts in the same time. And the phase beasts are much better than normal maps because they're harder. They can have multiple modifiers, whereas a green map only has one modifier. And probably the wood drop is better. There is no transparency at the moment, so you can't see what the wood drop is. Whether the map gives you 50% gear work, 20% gear work, or 0 from a phase beast. But the thing is, you don't pay for this map, you don't pay that 500 gold. And the map can have multiple levels, of course. It's kind of the same as a Mapworks map, just a bit more difficult. So it's a huge missed opportunity to give us some extra endgame content, making some public zones that we can farm for those phase beasts. A level 45 to 50 zone would be nice, like starting at the start here maybe 41, no 45, 46. That's kind of how I see it. Monsters here could be 45, here could be 46, then 47, 48, 49, and at the end of the zone 50. Or they can just start from 46 all the way to 50. Something like that, just so you can farm something that could give you XP and wood that you can actually use without fearing that it's a low level item. If I were to farm in level 46 zones, I would get 46 wood. If I go to 45, I won't get any XP on level 50, and the level 45 wood would not be worth it. The wood I'm getting here in a 13-16 map, as you can see, is level 13-16. So okay, that's kind of it. I think I've provided you enough information. Thank you again for joining my channel, Jude, and for being in the chat. Tomorrow, if I can get my hands on a patch for Chaos Bane, I'll probably stream Chaos Bane. Maybe I can make some videos about the invasion mode and everything newly added to the game. But currently I can't because I don't have access to the patch. So thanks everyone who joined and watched. Until next time, and keep it cool. Goodbye.